What's going on, good people? It's your boy Peacemaker back with another video. So in this video I'm going to be going over what I did with my samurai build, and pretty much let's see, it's a pretty simple build, but it's quite effective for my playstyle, and I'm really focused on the stagger damage. So I'm gonna start from the bottom with let's see. So it's 7 gears in total. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yep. So we're gonna start with gear 7 and then work our way up to gear 1. But just to make it just a little bit quicker, I am gonna go straight to the details. Alright, so for my gear 7, I went with the katana, and the two perks I rolled for it were the ghost tool cooldown reduction by 11%, and I also reduced the class ability cooldown reduction by another 11%. And the last perk I rolled for my kunai was the fire kunai, and I'll explain that as we get a little further into gear 6, which I'm about to explain now. So I'm not sure if a lot of people have this one. Granted, I've only got it once, so I immediately equipped it to my samurai, which is called for gear 6, I have the samurai's bracers. And what I focused on with those, with the perks, was the spirit heal effect by 50%, and the enemy staggered damage by 28%. And my last perk I rolled for my gear 6 was the Fire Master, which is going to complement the Fire Kunai. So let me actually go into the details of that. So with the Fire Master, it increases fire damage by 25%. And since my kunai can set enemies on fire, that's going to give me additional 25% in damage overall. Alright, so now that I got that covered, let's get into gear 5, which is the Vengeful Only B bomb. It's really just a concussion bomb, but what it does, it creates friendly Only B within the concussion bomb radius. And not only that, the Only B applies weakening to your opponents. So in combination with my samurai's bracers, where I have the 25% increase with fire damage, and I have my fire kunai, by me applying weakening to them, it also does more damage on top of the stagger damage I'm going to be doing. Since the samurai bracers, actually, yeah, I'm glad I did that. With the samurai bracers, it deals a major amount of stagger damage to enemies when parrying their attacks. It stacks with parry damage perk, and I will get into that as we go a little further on in the video. But for my vengeful Only B bomb, I went with the concussion bomb radius, that way I can affect as many targets as possible. Lastly, I also increased my range damage by 25%. So on top of the Fire Master, which is going to give me, what is it? The 25% damage in fire, I'm also increasing my range damage by an additional 25%. So if you do 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, wait, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, that's going to give me a 53% damage overall with range. That's not including like where as we go further along. So I'm at 53% with my range damage, and I also have scorch bombs for my third perk for my vengeful Only B bomb, and it adds a small number of scorch bombs since I already rolled for the Fire Master with the additional 5%, not to 5%, 25% with the fire damage. Now for my gear 4, I went with the Restoring Adachi, and the perks I rolled for it were the Spirit Gain on melee by 9%, and also my second perk I rolled for the Restoring Adachi is the class ability cooldown reduction by 11%. And the last one I went with was the Unstoppable Force. And let me briefly see what that says. So with the Unstoppable Force, damage taken while attacking can be recovered. Recovered health appears as gray and can be recovered by attacking enemies. Not only that, with the Restoring Hadachi, um, says effective against brutes, healed when used execution strikes on knockdown enemies. Now, I stated in the previous videos that I don't use the Adachi very often, but with the samurai with my setup, it does work quite well. So I use the Adachi in like emergency situations. It's not really my main. So hmm, let's get into the Swift Yari. I believe I'm pronouncing that right, which is my gear 3. For that, I went with the perfect counter damage of 30%. And I also went with, for my second perk, my class ability cooldown reduction by 11%. And my last one, for my third perk for my gear 3, was the Quicken Ties, which is going to reduce the time to fully charge Typhoon Kick. Now I only use the Typhoon Kick to kick people off like ledges and stuff. That's really it. Or if I'm really in the bind, I need to create some space, I will use the Typhoon Kick. Now, getting to my gear 2, which is the main weapon I use with the samurai, which a lot of players do, which is understandable, is the dual katana, which is the one I use is the Tempest dual katana. And since I'm focused on stagger damage with my build, that's what I focused on. So my first perk was the dual katana stagger damage by 11%. And I also have the perfect parry window by 36%. And since I'm rolling the Fire Master with my gear 6, the Samurai Bracelet, which is going to increase my fire damage by 25%, it was only natural that I went with the Burning Blade for gear 2 for my third perk. And what that does, melee attacks have a chance to inflict burning damage. Alright, so I'm trying to make sure I'm not missing anything. So by me having a chance to actually set my opponents or enemies on fire, on top of the stagger damage I'm going to be doing, combined with the 25% fire damage I'm going to get from the Fire Master, that damage really adds up really quick. I actually went live with this. I did a Nightmare solo, like not long after I posted this video. Well, before I posted this video, but I think I recorded this like maybe I say like 20-30 minutes after that. But let's get into gear 1. Got sidetracked there. I honestly don't know how to pronounce that name for gear 1 for the katana, and I don't want to pronounce it wrong, so I'd rather give it its due respect. But the perks I rolled for it was the perfect counter damage by 30%, and I also focused on my class ability cooldown reduction by 11% for my perk 2. And my third perk for my gear 1 is the Resolve of Lightning, which is going to increase stagger damage inflicted by each parry with katana. So, well, before I get into explaining, like finish connecting the dots, let me get into what I do with my techniques. Let's see. So, wait. Don't want to mess this up. Nope. So I have, let's see, have a class ability cooldown on my gear 7. Have a class ability cooldown on my gear 4. Have a class ability cooldown on my gear 3. And I also have a class ability cooldown on gear 1. So in total we have, let's see, gear 1 is 11%. Gear 2, that's another 11%, that makes 22. Let's see, gear 3, got another 11%, that makes 33. And for my gear 4, not gear 4, gear 7, I also have another class ability cooldown 11%, so that puts us at a total, let's see, 11, 11, 44% overall class ability cooldown. Yeah, so yeah, 44% reduction to my class ability cooldown. That was specifically done to get away from uh, the parry heal, which is personally my favorite perk to roll. But I wanted to try to get away from that, try to switch things up a little bit. So since I have a 44% reduction in my class ability, to make up for the parry heal, I focused on the spirit pool, which is gonna see while active leeches health from nearby enemies. So not only am I going to be inflicting stagger damage, fire damage, I'm also going to be pulling get my health back from my class ability cooldown, causing even more damage. Now let's get into my perk 1 for my technique. My perk 1, I went with the increased melee stagger damage by 25%. You could increase the melee damage, but I got better results out of doing stagger damage. Granted, I'm accustomed to doing stagger damage from playing the Shinobi for so long. You could go with the class ability cooldown too to like really maintain your health, but there's no point in maintaining my health if I'm just going to be staying alive. Like that could come in clutch, but I need to do damage as well as stay in the fight. So that's why I focused on the stagger damage. Let's see here. Now for my perk 2, I went with the parry damage, which is going to deal a major amount of stagger damage to enemies when parrying their attacks. This was the main reason I applied the samurai bracers, which is also going to deal a major amount of stagger damage to enemies when parrying their attacks. So really, with like from what I've experienced, like with maybe 2 parries, I can really get them staggered, and then on top of that, so let me make sure I said that right. So that deals a major amount of stagger damage, right? Let's connect the dots. That's also going to do a major amount of stagger damage when you're parrying their attacks. Combined, once I do get that stagger, I'm going to get the enemy stagger damage by an additional 28% from the samurai bracers. Now, what I am going to do, let's see. If you don't have this card, there is another thing that you can do. Yes, this is the one. I didn't quite finish it. As you can see, I still got like the level it up 2 more times. But you can also go with the Samurai's Honor, which is a charm that focuses with melee focused properties. And for both of those, I increased the stagger damage. Well, I'm pretty sure with the top one being at 30, I think the bottom one will cap out at like maybe anywhere from 25 to 28%. So that's another thing you can do to actually get a little more stagger damage out of it. But since the Samurai Bracers does so well with the stagger damage, I just wanted to boost that up an additional 28% or as much as I could. Now the Spirit Heal, that's just in case of emergency. Let's say I don't have my class ability cooldown, but since I'm going to be getting the spirit gain on melee from the restoring Adachi, that's going to restore my spirit. So in case my class ability cooldown is not available, I can heal with a spirit, or that spirit is there in case I need to use like a spirit move or something. So that's what I went with my perk 2. Now lastly, for my perk 3, I went with the Hachimen's Gift, which every hit from Hachimen's Fury heals. Honestly, as long as you stay within that circle during that short time that is there, you do get like majority, if not all, your health back. Now your teammates not going to really benefit from that unless they're nearby, but it does come in clutch to say if you're in a pinch, your health is low, you don't have spirit or the ability cooldown, I have the Hachimen's Gift to heal me just in case. And it's a really good bailout. Just in, you know, say you find yourself in a pinch. You already get the, for the passive ability, I did want to point this out. You also get the relentless, which is going to increase melee stagger damage by 15%. So if you combine that 15% with the stagger damage you're going to get from perk 1 from your techniques, you got 15, 25, that puts you at 40. Yeah, that puts you at 40% stagger damage. Then I'm also going to get the, see, 40 plus the, from gear 6, the Samurai's braces. So, wait a minute, let me make sure I did my math right. I'm getting lost. 15, 25, that's 40. That puts you at a 68% stagger damage. Now, as I stated earlier, if you roll with the Samurai's Honor, you probably get even more out of it. But I went with the Samurai's Bracelets because I can get that stagger on my opponent a lot quicker. Combined with the fire damage that you may get from the Fire Master, which boosts your damage by an additional 25%. So, but yeah, I mean, honestly, the combination between the Vengeful Oni Bomb, which is going to apply weakening to him, I'm boosting my range damage, doing 25% more damage when my opponent is on fire, and that 68%, I believe, of the stagger damage combined, especially with the quick attacks with the dual katanas, is a really good combination that I found. And with the really quick, not quick, but pretty reasonable class ability cooldown, you're able to also take the leech the enemy's health away from them. So that's pretty much it. That's what I came up with. I wish I could explain that just a little bit better, but overall, like, this build came out way better than I thought. I'm honestly not much of a samurai guy, but it does come in clutch. Make sure I didn't miss anything. Yeah, I believe that's pretty much it. And for my outfit, I didn't mention that in none of my other videos. I did stick with the all purple. It does go well together. I may come up with a different outfit, but that's neither here or there. But hopefully you all enjoyed the samurai build video, and I will see you all in the next one. Take it easy.